man. And there you have it, man. Once again, Tony Grossi is always making an excuse for Kevin Stefanski. He said he's a head coach and he sees through a quarterback lens. I beg to differ, man. He's a head coach, two-time NFL Coach of the Year, but he's not a talent evaluator of the quarterback position. Because if he was, Joe Flacco.
We need to talk about what's really happening in Cleveland right now, because this isn't just about football anymore. This is about power, control, and whether a two-time Coach of the Year is about to lose his job because he refuses to start the franchise quarterback that ownership handpicked.
K. Cabot has now came out and said, man, watching Shedeur Sanders in practice and the way he throws that ball, he just throws a perfect ball. He has great ball placement. Now you heard what all the players are saying about Shedeur Sanders, because now he's getting an opportunity to get reps in throwing the ball to the number one receivers. Jerry Jeudy said he probably throws one of the best balls in the NFL. You heard what the defensive backs are saying now. They saying that Shedeur Sanders is out there slinging that thing. Shedeur Sanders has a lot of, tight spiral and ball placement when he's throwing that ball. So a lot of people.
Kevin Stefanski just walked straight into NFL history, and not in the way anyone expected. One morning, the Cleveland Browns' two-time Coach of the Year woke up to headlines saying his veteran quarterback, Joe Flacco, had been traded. But here's the twist. He didn't even know it happened. No call from the owner, no text from the GM, nothing. Just a cold headline and a broken line of trust. Inside that moment, the entire league realized something deeper was happening in Cleveland. This wasn't just a routine roster move. It was a power shift, one that could end Stefanski's career in Cleveland forever. Because behind closed doors, the Browns' ownership had made their move. They wanted one thing, and one thing only. Shedeur Sanders, the rookie with the golden arm and the legendary last name. Reports say Jimmy Haslam and Andrew Berry didn't just push Stefanski to promote Shedeur. They went over his head to make it happen.
Who do you think made this decision? Was it a collective or was it AB called pulling rank?
Well, AB and the owner, I think. That's why Flacco was traded, to make this possible. Now, I won't say Kevin doesn't like Shedeur. I don't think Kevin believes Shedeur is ready, even for the number 2 role. Okay, it's not that he doesn't like him. He's a coach, and he sees everything through a quarterback lens, and he just doesn't believe he's ready. So for that reason, I don't think it was his decision. But he goes with the flow. This is the reason Flacco was traded, to make this possible. It was inevitable that Shedeur would be moved up to.
Now you heard what they had to say.
Overnight, Shedeur was elevated to QB2, and the message was clear: get on board or get out of the way. Now the locker room is divided. Some players back their coach. Others whisper that Shedeur's the real deal, that he's already throwing like a veteran, that the future has arrived whether Stefanski likes it or not. And somewhere between pride, control, and fear of losing his job, a head coach who once looked untouchable might be standing on the edge of walking away. Because this isn't just a football story anymore. It's a story about power, ego, and the price of refusing to adapt, even when the next superstar is already waiting right behind you. And what happens next could define the entire future of the Cleveland Browns. Kevin Stefanski didn't get fired. He might have just walked out. That's how shocking this story is. The Cleveland Browns head coach, a 2-time NFL Coach of the Year, woke up to chaos he never saw coming.
Night, how difficult is that, and what have you seen from Tyson since he's been here?
Yeah, happened late at night, like you mentioned. So you want to make sure you talk to a bunch of the guys. I didn't get a chance to talk to Greg until that next morning. But yeah, the guys, I think Coach Schwartz summed it up very well. I mean, these are tough because you get so close to your teammates and that type of thing. But we're excited about Tyson coming in here. He's a really good football player. He fits in really well culturally, personally, and I think schematically. This is a really good football player that we're excited to have.
Decided yet if Shedeur is ready to be your number 2 quarterback for this game?
Yeah, Shedeur will be the backup.
One of the most respected minds in football blindsided by his own team. And the fallout has the entire league talking. It started with one unbelievable morning headline. Joe Flacco has been traded. But here's the catch. Stefanski didn't approve it. He didn't even know it was happening. The front office made the deal behind his back without a single word of warning. Think about that. Your quarterback gets shipped out, and the first time you hear about it is the same way the fans do. That's not just a miscommunication. That's betrayal. Inside team headquarters, the move sent shockwaves. Players were confused. Coaches whispered behind closed doors. And the one question nobody could ignore was why. Why would ownership go over the head of a coach who helped turn the Browns from a joke into a contender? Why risk dividing the locker room? The answer, as it turns out, had nothing to do with Joe Flacco. This was all about one man, Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, continues to do better and better. Has a very good understanding, like I told you guys last week, just what we're doing schematically. But just comfort with everything. Comfort with the play calls, comfort playing next to Joel, that type of rapport and those type of things. So he's handled everything well.
Things that you've seen from Shedeur just even over the last couple of weeks as he's continued to come up the learning curve, just from a mental standpoint and physical standpoint?
Just tell you, Mary Kay, all of our young players work really hard in this building, utilizing all the resources that we have to improve every single day. So I think that's true of this rookie class, second-year guys, third-year guys. I think all of them are doing everything in their power to get up to speed. And like I've told you guys with rookies, there's a learning curve. There's things that you're going to pick up over the course of time. And I think all of our guys have done a nice job of really incrementally getting better, certainly with the process of an NFL season, the process of a week, what those type of things look like.
The young quarterback with the confidence of his father, Deion "Primetime" Sanders, and a throwing arm that has veterans in awe. Reports say the Browns ownership wanted Shedeur promoted immediately, even if it meant cutting Stefanski out of the decision entirely. That's when the quiet tension inside Cleveland turned into an open power struggle. On one side, ownership demanding the future begin now. On the other, a coach clinging to control, convinced his team isn't ready for that kind of gamble. And just like that, a franchise built on stability found itself standing on the edge of total chaos. But that was only the beginning. What happened next made the entire NFL question who's really running the Cleveland Browns. The moment Joe Flacco was traded without Kevin Stefanski's knowledge wasn't just a surprise. It was the moment everything cracked. For years, Stefanski had built his reputation on structure, discipline, and communication.
Flacco was traded, and Kevin Stefanski did not know that Joe Flacco was being traded. That was a Jimmy Haslam and Andrew Berry call. So Jimmy Haslam and Andrew Berry are the ones that traded Joe Flacco because they want to see Shedeur move up in the depth chart. They want to get Shedeur on the field. So they're taking matters in their own hand. Now, the Cleveland media has exposed Kevin Stefanski plenty of times with this Shedeur Sanders sabotaging and debacle, right? So I've been telling you guys that don't get excited because Shedeur Sanders.
He was the steady hand guiding a franchise long known for chaos. But when the Browns front office pulled the trigger on that trade in silence, it sent a loud and humiliating message. You're no longer in control. Inside Berea, the mood shifted instantly. Coaches who once trusted the system began whispering in hallways. Assistant staff quietly admitted they found out about the move on Twitter. And Stefanski, he sat in disbelief as reporters asked him about a trade he hadn't even been told about. Imagine that, the head coach of an NFL team standing in front of cameras, forced to pretend he's in the loop, when the truth is, he's just as blindsided as everyone else. That moment didn't just shake his confidence, it shattered the illusion of unity inside the Cleveland Browns. Because if the owner and general manager are making personnel decisions without consulting their coach, what does that say about the trust inside the building? Jimmy Haslam and Andrew Berry claimed the trade was strategic, a move to open opportunities for younger players. But everyone knew what it really meant. They were clearing the path for one name, Shedeur Sanders. It was now obvious. The trade wasn't about improving depth or fixing a roster issue. It was a chess move, and Joe Flacco was simply the piece they needed to sacrifice to fast-track their chosen quarterback. For Stefanski, it was a gut punch. He'd spent his career preaching process and patience, only to be outmaneuvered by the people signing his checks. In that moment, the Browns' so-called team alignment vanished, and the league began to wonder if Cleveland's leadership was willing to undercut a coach of the year like this. What would they do next? Because after that silent trade, one thing became clear. A storm was coming, and Kevin Stefanski was right at the center of it. When the news broke that Joe Flacco had been shipped out overnight, most fans thought it was a random midseason roster adjustment. But inside the organization, everyone knew this wasn't random at all. It was surgical. Jimmy Haslam and Andrew Berry didn't wake up one morning and decide to move a veteran quarterback for fun. This was a calculated strike, part of a much bigger plan. Behind the scenes, ownership had already made up its mind about the future. They weren't interested in another safe season with game manager Dillon Gabriel. They wanted electricity. They wanted buzz. They wanted Shedeur Sanders. The son of Deion Primetime Sanders wasn't just a quarterback, he was a brand. That was the final step, a way to remove any obstacle standing in the rookie's path. The timing was brutal. It made Stefanski look powerless, stripped of authority in his own locker room. The message from the top was loud and clear. We're running this team now. And it wasn't just about football anymore. It was about power. Who calls the shots? Who shapes the future? And who gets credit when it works? Haslam has always been known as an owner who wants influence. But this move took it to a whole new level. From that day forward, everyone in the Browns facility could feel it. Meetings grew tense. Conversations went quiet when certain executives walked by. Coaches whispered that the plan had already been made, that Shedeur's rise was inevitable, no matter what the head coach thought. And just like that, Cleveland's biggest secret was out. The Browns weren't united behind their coach. They were united behind their quarterback. The moment Shedeur Sanders was promoted to QB2, everything inside the Browns locker room changed. What had once been a unified team suddenly split down the middle, not out of malice, but out of belief. Half the room still stood behind Kevin Stefanski, the man who rebuilt the Browns' reputation and taught them how to win again. The other half, they couldn't stop talking about Shedeur, the rookie who was lighting up practice fields like he'd been in the league for years. Jerry Jeudy said it best. He throws one of the best balls I've ever caught. Coming from a receiver who's played with multiple NFL quarterbacks, that wasn't a throwaway compliment. It was a statement. Defensive backs whispered that his throws were different, tighter, faster, cleaner than anything they'd seen from a rookie. Even longtime reporters like Mary Kay Kitt, who's covered Cleveland quarterbacks for decades, admitted that Shedeur's accuracy and ball placement were special. And while all that praise echoed through the facility, Stefanski's stance didn't budge. Every press conference sounded the same. He's not ready yet. He's learning. We're taking it 1 week at a time. But inside the locker room, players started asking the same question fans were asking online. If he's not ready, then what does ready even look like? Tension started creeping in quietly. During team drills, veterans glanced toward Stefanski's office when Shedeur threw another perfect strike. In meeting rooms, a few players rolled their eyes whenever Gabriel's name came up. Nobody said it out loud, but everyone felt it. This team was ready to move forward, but their coach was holding the brakes. And that's when the whispers started. Maybe Stefanski's scared to lose control. Maybe he just doesn't want to be proven wrong. The Browns were winning on paper, but inside that building, cracks were spreading fast. Because once the locker room starts believing in a new leader, even one wearing a backup jersey. It's only a matter of time before the old one loses his grip. At first glance, it's easy to think Kevin Stefanski's resistance comes from ego. A veteran coach refusing to admit a rookie might already be better than his chosen starter. But when you dig deeper, it's not that simple. Behind every quote and sideline stare, there's a tug of war happening inside Stefanski himself. Between pride, fear, and maybe even protection. Let's start with the obvious: ego. Stefanski handpicked Dillon Gabriel. He vouched for him in draft meetings, pushed for his system to be built around Gabriel's steady, risk-averse style. And for a while, it worked. The Browns were stable, predictable, safe. But when ownership shoved Shedeur Sanders into the picture, everything Stefanski believed in got challenged. Suddenly, the quarterback he didn't choose was stealing the spotlight. The media's attention, and maybe even the players' respect, for a coach used to control, that's a nightmare. Then there's the second layer, job security. Stefanski knows the stakes. If Shedeur comes in and thrives, ownership will claim the win. But if he struggles, Stefanski takes the blame. Either way, he loses. It's the kind of no-win scenario that makes even great coaches start playing defense off the field instead of on it. But maybe, just maybe, it's not all selfishness. Maybe Stefanski genuinely believes he's protecting Shedeur from being thrown into a situation too early. History is full of talented rookies who got ruined before they even had a chance. Tim Couch, Sam Darnold, David Carr. Maybe Stefanski doesn't want Shedeur to become another name on that list. Still, the problem isn't his reasoning, it's how it looks. Because every time Stefanski says he's not ready, without explaining why, it sounds like deflection. And in the court of public opinion, perception is reality. Whether he's acting out of pride, fear, or genuine concern, one truth remains. Kevin Stefanski is fighting a battle he can't win. Because in the NFL, the moment you stop believing in your future moves on without you. There's one thing everyone's dancing around, but no one in Cleveland wants to say out loud. This isn't just about football. It's about the Deion effect. Because when your quarterback is Shedeur Sanders, you don't just get a talented rookie. You get a spotlight that never switches off. From the moment Shedeur walked into the Browns facility, cameras followed. Reporters who had never stepped foot in Cleveland before were suddenly hanging around team practices. Every throw, every rep, every sideline conversation became a trending clip. And in the middle of all that chaos stands Kevin Stefanski, a coach who's built his career on silence, structure, and control. Stefanski isn't a primetime kind of guy. He's the complete opposite of Deion Sanders. Quiet, methodical, allergic to drama. His system is built on minimizing noise, sticking to the script, and managing games like puzzles. But Shedeur doesn't play that way. He brings swagger, confidence, and the kind of star power that naturally pulls the spotlight away from his coach. And that's where things get messy. Because for some coaches, attention is currency. But for Stefanski, it's a distraction. Every question from the media becomes about Shedeur. Every narrative becomes about Deion's shadow looming over the locker room. And no matter how hard Stefanski tries to keep the focus on football, it always circles back to one family name: Sanders. Now, ownership might love that attention. It sells tickets, jerseys, and hope. But for a coach who wants control, it feels like chaos. That might be the real reason Stefanski keeps saying Shedeur isn't ready. Not because of his talent, but because of what comes with him. The cameras, the pressure, the expectation that every snap is a headline. And while Stefanski's trying to block out the noise, the rest of the league can already hear it. Cleveland is about to become prime time, whether he likes it or not. While the headline screamed chaos, Shedeur Sanders never flinched. No tweets, No interviews, no cryptic messages, just quiet work. In a league where drama spreads faster than touchdowns, his silence said more than words ever could. Every morning, before the media could even show up, Shedeur was already on the field, helmet on, headphones in, running drills like he was already the starter. Teammates started noticing it first, the way he carried himself, the focus in his eyes, the calm that never cracked, even when the cameras were begging for a reaction. He didn't complain about being benched. He didn't question the play calls. Instead, he did what every great quarterback eventually learns. He earned belief, not demanded it. Slowly, the locker room started shifting toward him. Players who once stayed neutral were now speaking his name in interviews. "That kid can spin it," one defensive back said. "He's ready, man." And that's the difference between hype and presence. Shedeur wasn't hyping himself, he was showing it. Every perfect throw in practice, every quiet nod after a completed route, every moment he refused to feed into the politics. Even Deion Sanders, a man who's lived his entire life in the spotlight, stayed silent, letting his son's actions speak for themselves. That silence became a weapon. It made ownership look smart, it made the media curious, and it made Kevin Stefanski's excuses sound weaker by the day. Because how long can you say a man isn't ready when everyone around him sees otherwise? And that's what makes Shedeur dangerous. Not just his arm or his name, but his patience. He's not chasing the spotlight. The spotlight is chasing him. In a storm of egos and whispers, Shedeur Sanders has become the eye of calm, the quiet fire that's slowly consuming Cleveland from the inside out. Cleveland is no stranger to drama, but this time, it feels different. It feels final. The tension that's been quietly building for months has reached its breaking point, and now, the entire Browns organization stands on a fault line that could split at any second. Kevin Stefanski is running out of time. Every game Dillon Gabriel starts without fireworks, the whispers grow louder. Every highlight of Shedeur dropping perfect passes in practice adds fuel to the fire. Ownership wants action. The fans want excitement. The players, they just want direction. There are only 3 paths left. Option 1, Stefanski doubles down. He keeps Gabriel as QB1, hoping the team wins enough games to silence the noise. But if they falter, it's over. He'll be painted as the man who couldn't let go of control. Option 2, he caves, names Shedeur the starter, spins it as a football decision, and prays the rookie thrives fast enough to save his job. It buys in time, but at the cost of authority. Option 3, he walks away, resigns, blames philosophical differences, and protects his legacy before the organization destroys it for him. And here's the truth. All 3 roads lead to one inevitable destination. Shedeur Sanders taking over. Whether Stefanski chooses it or not, the future is already written. The Browns didn't clear the path, trade Flacco, and crown a new QB2 just to wait. So now, all eyes are on Cleveland. The media's circling. The players are choosing sides. And somewhere deep down, even Stefanski knows, the clock has already hit 0. Because this story isn't just about a coach or a rookie anymore. It's about power, legacy, and timing. It's about the moment when silence turns into action. And the next chapter of the Cleveland Browns begins. One man built the system, another's about to rewrite it. And when Shedeur Sanders finally steps onto that field, Cleveland won't just witness a new quarterback, they'll witness the birth of a new era.